Hi everyone, this is Suzanne Wagner and I'm here with Ann Maglinte once again, and we are going to be talking about this lovely series that she's got going that she calls Waldorphia. So what is Waldorphia?
Well, Waldorphia is the land of watercolor painting for children. And I love Waldorf painting. And would you like me to tell you how I kind of got into that?
Well, yeah, because you have these lovely little twisted roads on how you get to things, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, it started off because my children went to the Waldorf school. And I had heard, in Willits about what a wonderful school it was. I had a lot of friends that sent their children to the Waldorf school in Calpella, California. And so I worked in the office, and I had two daughters that attended school. And they would bring home these beautiful pictures that, like about this big,
wow,
just full of color and life, and they were all done wet on wet. And I was a watercolor artist, but I'd never really done that style.
So now, what is wet on wet?
So wet on wet is where you actually soak the paper.
Oh, really?
And it's a certain kind of paper, too.
Okay.
Yeah. And you soak the paper for about 5 minutes, and then you take it out, and then you put a cloth on it. It's all kind of a little ritual, and you gently smooth the paper so that you don't kind of rough it up a little bit, and then you take off the cloth, and then you paint with these wonderful watercolors that come from Germany.
So what's the value of that? Because the paper's already wet, so that it won't take the paint as quickly? Is that
No, so it won't run all over the place.
Oh, it won't run all over the place. Probably handy.
Right. So it's still wet enough that the colors will blend and flow.
Okay.
But you can keep it within kind of the means that you end up with an image at the end. If you want a squirrel, it looks like a squirrel. It doesn't look like a blot.
A puff ball.
Yeah, right.
Puffball.
Right.
Puffball squirrel.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so I was teaching children's art classes and in Willits, and I did a lot of after-school art classes and Saturday art classes. And I started introducing the Waldorf painting, and I found that a lot of the parents really liked it a lot when the children brought home these Waldorf paintings we'd done. And so I started into it was a kindergarten program, learning how to be a Waldorf kindergarten teacher.
Oh, great.
And it was a year-long program with Kayla Meadows, Varney. And I learned a lot about watercolor painting because we painted with the children. Oh, and
nice.
There's a certain type of, you have a beautiful wooden tray that you have the little jars in. Mm-hmm. And you have special brushes, really, really good brushes to use, because if you have the best supplies, you're going to have the best results.
Right.
And there's just a certain way that you do the Waldorf teaching. You always start with a story.
Oh, wow.
And it's just this whole, it's kind of where you're kind of set up with the children, that they're totally engaged. They hear the story, and then as you're teaching them, you retell the story. And so they really take it all in, and it's much more than just a painting. It becomes kind of a visualization of that whole tale that they've just heard.
Wow, that's so interesting. So now the Waldorf school has its complete own system. It has its own style, its own system, like a mission. It has its own mission statement, right?
It does.
So what differentiates Waldorf from something else?
Okay, so with the Waldorf style, it's all about the heart and the body and the mind. So it's very spirit-based education, and you're educating the whole child. And so the painting part of it, because painting, when you're telling a story, you're bringing in literature. Then when we paint botanicals like the dandelion, mm-hmm. you're bringing in science.
Oh, right.
Right? Then we were learning about the Roman aqueducts, and then we bring in history.
Right.
So art in the Waldorf tradition is immersed in every subject. And I just love that, because it is so true.
Right.
It's not just about a little painting you're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's about looking at the whole thing with an artist eye.
Wow, that I didn't even know that's what that was, and that makes so much more sense. I mean, especially for me, because I'm such a visceral learner, being a ballet dancer, a retired ballet dancer, and so to me it's like I have to feel it and sense it and taste it and touch it and all that kind of thing. And I found, most schools were so sterile, which is why I loved ballet, because it was anything but sterile, right? And so I love that this kind of takes that, left brain flat way of teaching out of the picture a little bit and integrates more that creative spirit and that creative mind. And so, so that's amazing. So now you taught like a middle school and a high school art also, right?
Yeah, so I did the kindergarten training, and I realized that I wanted to teach more levels of art than that. And so I was offered a job at Levita Charter School, Waldorf Charter School, and I taught art to middle school and to high school students. And then after that, my granddaughter was enrolled at River Oak Waldorf Charter School in Ukiah, and I was offered a position there. Ann knew Rima at the River Oak Charter School and suggested me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I became the painting teacher. Next thing I know, I'm not just teaching middle school and high school, I'm teaching grades 1 through 8.
Oh, wow.
So I had some time to prepare, and I mentored with a wonderful woman named Marcia Titchener. And Marcia was actually my daughter's Waldorf school kindergarten teacher. So I knew Marcia very well.
Oh, nice.
And she taught me just about everything that she knows about Waldorf watercolor and the correct way to do it. She had a lot of Waldorf training. There's a certain way that you approach it. With Waldorf education, you're looking at the developmental, of the development of the child. And so developmentally, you don't want to like move ahead with a lesson that wouldn't be something that they would be able to embrace.
Right.
So you have to know enough about the curriculum that you know what to offer.
Right.
And I didn't have any guidance on what I was going to be teaching.
Right.
And so Marcia was my mentor, and then I made up my own program. So mine's a little different. I used the experience I've had. I've taught so many children's classes over the years. And I used some of the things that I knew that they really enjoyed, and then I combined it with the Waldorf. So when I teach the Waldorf style of art to the children, we also add in black crayons, and we have oil pastel and chalk pastel.
Oh, wow.
So it's much more where you're exploring a lot of different media.
Wow. Well, and, you brought some wonderful little paintings here, because when you're working with certain grade levels, they can only handle so much information, and so their brain is seeing things in certain ways, and then as they keep growing, then they can do more complex things, right? So should we show some of these cute little pictures?
Yes. So in the very beginning, I'll let you hold it. So in the very beginning, this would be one from first grade, and this story is called Yellow's Birthday.
Yellow's Birthday.
Yes, and so in the Waldorf painting tradition, all of the different colors have attributes.
Oh.
So, the yellow, of course, relates to the sun, but it's more glowing and more kind of really positive, and someone that would be really outgoing, whereas blue is very shy, and blue is the quiet one.
Oh.
And red is the courageous one. Red's called the magician because red can do a lot of things on the page. So you kind of work at it, they become friends.
Oh.
And that enters into it. And then here, when I told the children in the first grade, I suggested they paint the red on the top and the blue on the bottom, and then blue and red became friends. And what did they make? And they discovered violet.
Ah.
So it's very exciting for them.
I bet.
So they're discovering the colors. And
wow.
And then this would be the next step. So in this one you see it's the young plant with the roots, and Mother Earth is down here with the red, and then you've got Sister Rain with the blue, because you have to have the earth, but then you have to have the rain. And then here's the energy of the sun, and you can see when the little shoot comes up, look at the energy it's creating.
So you literally are telling the story while they're painting.
Exactly.
Oh, how interesting.
I share the story in the beginning, and then as they paint, it also keeps them engaged.
Oh, for sure.
So they're painting together,
yeah,
and then they're hearing the story again.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I wish I had this class when I was a kid.
And then this one, I really like to do seasonal paintings, and so this one, of course, would be for right around Halloween, and you have the the Papa Pumpkin and the Mother Pumpkin and the Baby Pumpkin. And I tell a story about, see how they're all connected together?
Oh, yeah.
So you're still working, say, here with the circular shape, that form, but now you're adding color and shading and texture. So you've got the basic foundation, and then you're moving in. So this would be about third grade.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
And then this last one is 4th grade, and they're studying Norse mythology.
Oh, wow.
So these are the 3 Norns, the 3 fates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the ones that, and you can't see it that well, but they have a little line here of yarn that they're weaving. And this is Yggdrasil. This is the tree of life, the world tree.
Right.
Very important in Norse mythology. And a lot of different mythologies, you have a world tree of life.
Absolutely.
And so the 3 Norns here are sheltered under the tree. And they're the ones that a lot of times are responsible for a lot of things that happen in people's lives, the 3 fates.
Right. Well, I love this because you're teaching history, you're teaching story, you're teaching mythology, you're teaching how to integrate stories into their own physical experience, which to me is really what myth is about. It becomes a living, breathing experience, not just a story, but it's a story you're living through, and you're living through it as you're doing actually the paintings, which is even better.
So you're taking it in. You can read about things, but when you actually paint it, then that becomes a part of you.
Yeah.
And it goes into your soul.
Right. Well, and what I love about painting is its raw authenticity, right?
It is.
It's very raw in its authenticity, and I think that we've lost so much of that in our society, that, we need to appear a certain way or look a certain way, or, in something, and painting is just organically you. I mean, there's nobody interfering, hopefully, with it. If they got you as a teacher, there's no interfering. Right? So that's really good. And so, I mean, I love the Waldorphia. It's like its own little land, its own little adventure into, a whole nother world of creative expression, which is so important for kids. I think this is, I love the fact that we unfortunately have had a pandemic, because it's forced us to step out of some of the old traditional models of school and really look at as many alternatives as we possibly can, and do a more integrative approach, because this is enjoyable, it's pleasant, it's fun, and it's not so miserable to probably get kids to do this, right? They probably would be like, oh yeah, sure, let's do watercolor painting today. This would be a lot better than studying Norse mythology. Let's become
paint it, right?
Let's paint it.
Yes, right.
That's really cool.
Well, one of the teachers just sent me a picture, and she said that one of the students at the school has put all of his paintings up in his room, and she sent me a picture of it.
Wow.
And that made me feel so good that he was proud enough of his paintings that he just papered all of his walls with his Waldorf paintings. Because they're online, I don't get a chance to interact in person with them, but it made me feel really good that I could communicate enough through these video lessons that he was picking up on it and was really excited about what he was doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So now, with these classes, you have all these classes, so there's all these things that you get. So in the classes they get what?
So you have a video, and then you also need the supportive things. So you'll have the story. So if you want to go through the story again, you'll also have sometimes when I was talking about dandelions. So that was 5th grade, and they're working with ecosystems.
Oh.
So I had a whole sheet all about. I read my part, but it would go to the parent about how dandelions fit into the ecosystems.
Oh, wow.
Or when we were studying the Roman aqueducts, I would also give some historical information about that, so that maybe the parent can share that. And maybe they can even do a little research, and it can kind of move on from there, where they learn even more about it together.
Yeah, I think that's so important. On so many levels. And so now they also have, you tell about the video supplies, because everybody probably goes, what do we buy?
Yes, right. Yeah, so I have a video all about the supplies, because we do use the Stockmore watercolors. They're the best. I've tried substituting, and they just don't work very well. And I would recommend the best quality brushes, because they'll last. And when you have the best quality supplies, you'll do a really, really beautiful job.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so you start, do you have it sectioned off with grades, or do you have like one class to begin with and keep going, or do you have different classes for different grades?
So I have each grade level has its own curriculum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 1 through 6.
Okay.
And so, if you had a student, so say we're doing the first grade curriculum.
Right.
There's one for first grade and second grade and third grade.
Right.
And each one builds on the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you had a child that was a little bit younger than first grade,
Right.
like 4 or something like that,
Right.
I think that'd be fine to do the first grade curriculum.
Okay.
And introduce them to this.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
And it's not a rigid Waldorf philosophy that I
Okay.
follow. So there's no need to be involved in a Waldorf program per se.
Okay.
So the program's perfect for homeschoolers
Mm-hmm.
and people that really love a lot of the parts of the Waldorf program and want to bring that into their homeschool program.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's really great. So now in each section there's how many classes a month?
So we have 3 classes a month.
Okay.
And what I found in my teaching on site is the children really looked forward to the painting where they would have more say about what it was.
Ah.
And so what I have for the last lesson of the month is a little bit more of a guided free choice.
Mm-hmm.
And we will talk about, maybe bringing in one of the favorite parts of one of the paintings that they had done that month and expanding on that.
Nice.
And it's interesting, when I would give the children free choice, most of them always chose something that they had painted
Oh, wow.
because it was comfortable to them,
Mhm.
And so I think being able to use your imagination is so important. So that's why I like that 4th lesson
Right.
to be where they can just use their imagination
Well,
and
I
explore.
think what we're fascinated by is a reflection of some part of ourself that's growing and maturing, and so that symbol is that reflection of something inside of us that we are researching, trying
Yes.
to understand
Right.
and explore. So
Right.
it gives them the chance to kind of go further into
It does, yeah.
Sorry, I keep coughing. So this sounds great. So anything else you want to talk about with these classes? Because it's amazing what you've put together.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I'll have the class offerings ready in April. And what I think would be good to do is I'm going to offer a summer program, a little shorter that you could, try out, start off with. And then I'll offer a fall program.
Oh, nice.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably offer like a whole semester course. Or you could just do part of it. I'll break it up like into maybe 2-month increments, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, and of course we'll do a lovely holiday painting, and I think that you will find that it really adds a lot to whatever you're doing at home. Even if your child is going to a public school, I'm sad to say that they don't have as much art as they used to.
They don't.
So this is really, I think, a nice offering for anyone that really wants to share art with their children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's a beautiful bonding thing too.
It is.
If I were a parent, I'd be doing the class with them.
Right.
Right.
And I think some parents do. Yes. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a way you share ideas and thoughts and colors and perspectives and stuff,
Yes.
which would be fun. That would be great.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was fun. We have to do this again.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I always enjoy speaking with you.
You're welcome. So
Yeah.
go to annmaglinte.com, and she has a Facebook page, and there's all sorts of stuff there, and a YouTube channel too.
Right, and then my web page has a lot of examples.
Okay.
So if you go to my web page, annmaglinte.com, that has a whole section. If you go to the top bar and you go to classes,
Okay.
it'll talk to you about my online watercolor classes, and it'll talk to you also about the Waldorf. And I have a lot of examples of student work that are really fun to
great.
look at too.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
That's good.
and then and of course the YouTube channel.
Right.
And I'll keep putting up little hints and
Yeah.
things too on my site, so you can keep checking in on the YouTube channel too.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
All right. Bye.